This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone! I don't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles?
Yes! You may fire when ready.
What?
Welcome, Cubs and Cardinals fans, to the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcasts and blog content. You can follow us on social media at Team of Rivals Pod, or find us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. And for those of you who prefer to watch the show, we also post to YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. So hit the like and subscribe button and be sure that notifications are on so that you know anytime we post new content. Gentlemen, I got to tell you, this is how dedicated I am to the show. There was a eligible single lady that I've been communicating with, and she was like, "Hey, what are you doing Thursday night?" And I said, "No, man, Thursday night's for the boys. 9 o'clock. I'll give you the link I'll give you the link to the website so that you can catch it when it posts. But no, Thursday nights for the boys.
If you want to spend time with me, you can on YouTube.
Co-founder of the Team of Rivals and number 104 in the 2021 edition of the Top Cards on Twitter, Ron Nuttall, and permanent occasional guest host, Elliot Dewey. Gentlemen, look, I'm just going to warn the audience right now. We have no show map. This may be the most off the cuff we've ever recorded. It was are we doing a show tonight? Yeah. I mean, if you are. And then that was the last communication. And that was about 12 hours ago?
That's how it's been for months.
No, but today in particular.
And sometimes it's like, oh shit. Yeah, it's Thursday. It's 7. Hey.
It's been bad the last 10 games.
Well, before we get to that, it's time for the Elmhurst baseball update. I don't know how things are going in Davidson.
Davidson has wrapped up.
Yeah, well, they just wrapped in Elmhurst this past weekend.
Yeah.
As I told you guys, my son clearly has a major league future. He finished the year with a .000 batting average, but I'm pretty sure his on-base percentage was somewhere between 500 and 600. He reached base every single game, I think, except maybe one. No, I think he reached base every single game. His highlight was probably the game where he walked 3 times and got hit by a pitch.
Awesome.
Got hit by 3 pitches this year. So in 11 games, 10 games.
Is he sticking his beak over the plate, or is he crowding it? What's he doing?
I think he stands too close to the plate.
Anthony Rizzo
locks him up on his swing. Is that
that's not possible?
Well, Anthony Rizzo is his favorite player. So, but here's
not David Ross's favorite player, evidently.
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
So this week they're having they just wrapped up a baseball camp. They're affiliated with the White Sox, but whatever. It was a good baseball camp. He enjoyed it. Four mornings this week, and 111 degree heat index, and
perfect.
But day one, they had a bunch of drills, and they did this all week long. And if you won the drill, you won a pack of baseball cards. And on day one, my boy won the balance drill, which was basically you stand like you're on the mound, you lift your left leg up, and then whoever can stay balanced with their left leg in the air the longest wins. Well, my boy won. And Monday we opened up one of the packs of cards that he got. And I just have to go through this with you guys because you're just going to love it. So we got Clint Frazier. So at the time with the Yankees, but he was a Cub briefly this year.
Sure.
Andrelton Simmons, also a Cub, right? I'm going through this. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. A Buster Posey card. Okay. Salvi Perez, Jesus Luzardo. Like, you had some fairly decent players in here, recognizable. Then we go through and, you got some guys who really aren't anything. And then, of course, there's this. And obviously, we're not live on video.
Flowing locks and
for
everything.
those of you who are listening, the flowing locks of my nemesis.
Project Runway,
Mr. Harrison Bader. So I had to share that with you guys.
That's Gino's nickname for him.
Project Runway, lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's his favorite player. I'm gonna get an autographed ball for Gene of old Harry Bader. Send it to him. It was a little gift for all the stuff he's done for us over
This sounds a little pervy, Harry Bader.
I wonder if I could get one of from Bro Neal for you, Ron.
Man, I'm not a Bro Neal hater. Here's the thing. I don't hate Tyler O'Neill. I hate all of you who love Tyler O'Neill. I'm not basking in joy that he hasn't done what we expected him to do. I'm angry because all of you are alive.
Translation or sorry, message. Ron hates our audience.
Yeah.
Continue.
We're getting closer to hitting that nail on the head, and I think that's what it is, Pete. I was actually a happier fan before I got involved with all this baseball social media. My level of dislike for my own fan base has definitely been elevated over the last 3 years, especially. I've encountered, not all of you, so don't everybody take this personally. There are a lot of Cardinals fans that are just fucking dumb. I mean, just dumb. Hearing him talk about baseball, anything related to it, it is mind-boggling how stupid the fan base is. And maybe that is just the people who are lurking around on Facebook or whatever. Facebook I point at more. Twitter has its fair share. Facebook is over-indexed.
It's the vocal minority, Ron. That's what it is.
Man, maybe.
The vocal minority that has nothing to say, that yells into the void of Twitter with their fucking nonsense. And most of them happen to be Cardinals fans.
I had to leave. And there's some of these groups I realize, like, there's a percentage of fans there that really know their shit and they're good to go. But these Facebook groups, I had to get out of all of them because I just couldn't read it anymore. I didn't want to see it on my timeline, didn't want to see it on my feed. I just want to see pictures of your family, where you're drinking, whatever. I don't care. I don't want to see baseball and this stuff anymore. Twitter's impossible, right? I mean, we got to be present on all these things. Twitter's going to have baseball fans there, and I get it. And I think for the most part, I think a lot of the people I follow are actually, they're pretty good. I mean, I've had to mute several because they don't just talk about baseball. They literally every moment of every day, they give every thought that they have out on social media and that desperation to get likes. And I've had to mute several who I respect and like. No, not talking about, well, never mind. I won't get into names here, but there are some that who I'm talking about who every single thought they have all day long goes out on Twitter, and it's junk and I don't want to read it. I don't want to get into any of that. So your boy is built like a stork because he's as tall as you. I'm not surprised that he won the balance drill.
Oh, see,
he's like a flamingo.
I disagree. I disagree
being
because
that tall makes it tougher.
Does it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have room for little wiggles. It's harder to because your center of gravity is higher. So
that's what she said.
That's right. If you wobble a little bit, it's going to fall over.
Oh, that's not good. That's when it all starts falling apart.
Yes, it does.
All right,
gents. I just stumbled on this one, and I have to share it. And for those of you who are this is what happens when we don't play in the show. For those of you who are listening to this, I'll put the link in the description because you're going to want to go and watch it. Although I would assume that by the time this actually posts, you'll have seen it. But Lorenzo Cain, Ron, you're going to have to enable screen sharing. Have you seen this video?
How do I do that?
Cup check.
Have you seen the video, Ron?
No, but I can't wait. I don't know
you
how.
Can't wait.
Can I hang on a second? Advanced sharing options. Well, you can't share?
No, it says that you disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, hang on.
I guess you got to make me a co-host. This is the fascinating part of the podcast for our audience.
There, you should be able to do it.
All right, here we go. Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. Are you ready, gents?
Mm-hmm.
You are. Oh, wait. Before I do that, I need to.
Close down Pornhub before you put that up.
Yep. Before I do that, I need to share it, but I need to make sure that we're sharing the sound as well.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I'm going to blow that up.
And the slider line to center coming on as Cain will have to play it on the hop. Base hit for Guillorme. McNeil pulls it at second, and that one hurt Lorenzo Cain as it came up and bit him.
Close to the ball, so then he just had to block it.
Oh!
Somebody's not wearing a cup.
No, somebody's definitely not wearing a cup. And what would Mark Littell be telling him right now?
That's right. If Mark Littell doesn't turn this into a Nutty Buddy commercial in the next week, I'm going to be so unbelievable.
We're going to turn it into one for him. This is why you wear the most comfortable, anatomically correct cup on the market. You got to protect the boys. Lorenzo Cain had to learn the hard way. Nutty Buddy.
We just got our show title. Protect the boys.
Protect the
it's
boys.
Protect the boys or Lorenzo Cain learned the hard way.
That's right.
He fucked around.
I will reach out to Mark and say, hey, look, we did some advertising for you. I don't know where those royalties are going to come from, but throw a little bit our way, I guess. But perfect example, right? That's exactly why you have to protect yourself at all times, really.
I'm going to show that to my son when he wakes up tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you should.
I do have to say he doesn't complain about wearing a cup anymore since I got him the Nutty Buddy.
Since we're into sharing things here, and I have to go into something here that I saw a little while ago tonight. I actually retweeted it. It's great because, well, let me get to it, because it involves probably one of the best announcers in baseball, a very famous actor in Bob Uecker. So let me get this.
Obviously, you're going to share the screen now too?
I'm going to here in a second.
Awesome. See, this is when we need to be live streaming. But of course, if we were live streaming, it would be all messed up. So
true.
I'm going to share the sound too, so you guys let me know.
It'd be stuttering.
Here we go.
I'd look like a Picasso.
You guys see that?
I see that you've started screen. Oh, wait.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, here we go.
We love. Here we go.
This is obviously, we get a shot of it.
This is
a team.
This is a team picture that once a year they have these team picture days is what they are. And on this particular day, this cost Bob Gibson, one of the great pitchers in baseball. It cost him and I a couple $100. They had taken the picture and they had proofed it and everything, and then brought it back to the ballpark before they finally caught that scene there.
What? Can you come a little closer on that?
Well, Bob and I are holding hands.
We're gonna get a close shot of that. You certainly are, aren't you?
There we go. Well,
and for those of you who don't recognize the other voice, that's obviously Johnny Carson. If you don't know who that is, look it up on
Google him.
Go Google it, youngins. He was probably on that show like 100 times. So if you are bored as hell and you're stuck at home for a couple hours, if you YouTube Bob Uecker on The Tonight Show or with Johnny Carson, it's pretty good shit. But somebody put that out earlier tonight, and I saw that on Twitter. I thought it was a pretty funny clip. I didn't even know about that.
Well, it's the first time I've ever seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, this is like in the 60s. Two guys holding hand in the picture. They got fined for it. That's hilarious. A couple $100.
Now, did they get fined because it was two dudes holding hands, or did they get fined because it's the 60s and it's a black guy and a white guy holding hands?
Probably all the above, Elliot. I would guess.
I bet that ultimately the reason that they said is because they weren't taking the team picture seriously.
Yeah, Pete, you're absolutely right.
Because things were so straight-laced then, it didn't matter. It could have been a guy with his wife and would have been like, what the hell is she doing here? This is a team picture.
You're supposed to be standing there with your hands to your side. Yes.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely not smiling.
Exactly.
That speaking of which, and sorry to cut on wrestlers, but that was always the thing that amused me, at least in my high school yearbook pictures, right? You take all the team pictures, every team would be grinning except the wrestlers. All of the wrestlers would be flexed in their team picture, and they'd have like these, super serious, trying to be real grim.
Because
everybody else looked like they were.
Because we were losing 20 pounds and we're fucking miserable. That's why we weren't smiling.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Elliot. Many good friends of mine were wrestlers, and that was always like when they get into season, they're trying to make a weight.
Yeah, we're not fun.
Don't eat in front of them. Don't go to lunch with them. Just get the hell away from them.
I didn't go to lunch. I spent lunch in the gym running, trying to make weight.
Like a trash bag over you or something, trying to sweat it all out, get the water weight out of you.
When I was in high school, they still sold those suits. So I had those suits.
Oh, so they didn't have those when I was in high school, Elliot. So it was just trash bag under it.
Oh, you could actually, yeah, I was going to say, in my high school, we weren't as wealthy as apparently they were in Sandwich. Our wrestlers wore trash bags.
That's right. Yeah, mine did too.
Trip down to Walmart, they were like $10 for those plastic suits.
See, we're unrelatable lifestyle.
I used to wear those suckers to bed with long johns and sweatpants. And
here's my question: do they actually work? Because I might try that.
Dude, I would wake up probably about between 4 and 5 in the morning, just soaked from pretty much head to toe.
God, just an interesting topic too. I just remember one of my friends saying, "It's been a couple of days. I finally peed." And that's incredible. Like that young men who are growing, like, that starve themselves and don't drink water because they don't want to take on the weight just to make a weight to go to a meet.
See, the water thing wasn't, you could lose water weight fairly quickly. It was when you just lost control and just ate everything in sight. And then that made it tough to make weight. So, I mean, I started losing weight my senior year during cross country season because I had to lose 20 pounds, and I had like three weeks, I think, between the end of cross country season and our first meet to go from 155 to the 135.
All I know is that during my freshman year, I did play basketball as a freshman and sophomore, but junior and senior year, I was kind of done with it. But I saw what my future was in basketball, and it wasn't promising, so I wasn't going to waste my time doing it. When I was a freshman, we had a big, huge gym at the high school. Not where the games were played. They were played at an offsite gymnasium called Alice Ingersoll. It's pretty nice, actually. But the gym at the high school was shared with the wrestlers, like of all classes, like freshman to senior. And it was so funny because while you were at practice, if your ball went over on the wrestling mats, nobody would get it for you. They would say, "Come on over and get it yourself," And that was just an invite to just getting rolled up in a mat, or what it is, just the typical hazing. Yep. But yeah, so and God forbid you make a call like, "Hey man, I saw you were you guys were over there practicing everything. It looked like you had a little bit of a half chub in your wrestling gear over there while you were trying to pin somebody." And that was something you don't say. I learned the hard way.
It's the fastest way to get butt dragged.
Wait, Elliot, I'm not entirely familiar with that. Is that some special wrestling term?
No, it sounds exactly like what it is.
Getting rolled up in a mat is not fun. You think those things are soft, but they're heavy. My coach always said,
if your finger doesn't stink after a butt drag, you're doing it wrong.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, getting rolled up in one of those mats, you think they're soft mats and everything, but you get rolled up enough. That sucks, man. That is like getting picked up by the Rancor for you Star Wars fans out there. It is pretty grit. It is pretty. It's pretty helpless feeling when you just have head exposed.
Yeah, those suckers are heavy.
Damn thing you can do about it. Yeah. So yeah, I was well liked as a freshman by the juniors and seniors. Probably a favorite target.
Yeah.
And they were right. They were rightfully so. I was their favorite target. I was a dick. And I went to prom with a senior when I was a freshman, so that didn't help.
Ooh, they really didn't like you.
Nope.
I almost did that well. I went to prom with a senior when I was a sophomore. But this was a girl from another state.
Oh no, this is a girl from the high school.
Yeah,
and that put me as a very popular guy as a freshman. Yep.
I assume you probably got the same look when I showed up at that prom. It was like, who the hell is that, and what is he doing here?
Yeah,
and what's he doing with her?
The afterward events were very uncomfortable and awkward.
She hosted the post prom at her, or the big after prom party was at her family's huge mansion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like your kind of element, though.
I was 15.
Doesn't matter. I picture you the same way as
that I
am now. All right. We've got to get to some baseball talk. We've already lost people.
We?
Oh, sure.
Do we really? Do we have to talk about this?
We're going to. Yes, we do. And I'm going to make you guys do it because I know it's been a rough ride. I want to start with, though, the Cubs getting kind of.
Wait. What's been a rough ride? The Cubs' last 10 games or Elliott's wrestling career?
Well, the butt drag is part of it. Yeah, it had to be a rough ride.
I did wrestle legs, so I was a rough rider.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Elliott is raw dog.
I want to talk a little bit about your manager not being happy with the Yankees and not being happy with Rizzo. Blowout in New York. Can't believe Rizzo let that happen. What was that all about? And are you surprised to hear that coming from David Ross? I know he's protecting his guys, right? It's a blowout. No more bunting, no more stealing. Those unwritten baseball rules, we always hear about. And I'll just let you know, guys, where I stand on that. I kind of follow the same suit. Example, even in Little League, if my team's up by 10 runs, they don't steal anymore. Pass ball is fair game because a pass ball is pass ball. They have to learn how to run the bases. But I don't run them excessively. If we're up, I'll stop the guy at second. I'll stop the guy at third. We don't need one more run to cross the plate. That's really not proving anything. But there are some coaches that obviously do it, and it does piss me off when that does happen. I think there's an unwritten rule in baseball too, and it was all the way through when I played in Legion and to college and everything else that, hey, look, the game's pretty much, it's a blowout. Everything's wrapped up. You don't bunt and you don't steal. Those are like two rules. Right. I guess when you have a pitcher throwing 35-mile-an-hour fastballs, you don't try to hit a home run either. Hitting the ball, I think, is one of those exceptions. What is a player supposed to do? You got to try to hit. So what do you guys think? I mean, it's your manager saying that. I was surprised to hear that from David Ross, and especially a part of that comment, at least, directed at a former player who's, I think, universally loved.
Well, former friend, former teammate.
Right.
Oh, probably still friends.
And that's my guess is that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Is the friendship. I don't think he would have said anything about it. And I would imagine what probably triggered him is exactly what you said. It was probably that home run that Judge hit off Schwindel. Do you really need to tee off underneath his pitch? What are you proving by doing that? Because nobody's going to remember that when you're padding your stats at the end of it.
No. I will point out.
So he's going to go in and he's going to argue, hey, I hit 45 home runs this year. Well, you hit 44. You teed off on a fucking lollipop. Congratulations.
Hey, both Albert and Yachty back-to-back Sundays each gave up two.
That's right. And I'm hoping I get to see a couple next weekend.
You might. I mean, you might.
The Cubs are not going to be in any position where the Cardinals are going to be putting Yachty or Albert.
But when the Cardinals had done it, they were blowing the other team out, which was a little bit of a surprise. So it was kind of working that way, I guess, in those two examples. But so these unwritten rules of baseball, I know some people just aren't fans of them. The situations where players are getting hit and you go after their star player because they hit your star player, that kind of thing. I know there's all kinds of mixed. This is a topic that a lot of people are polarized and divided by as well. The unwritten rules of baseball. The younger crowd doesn't believe in them, thinks they're stupid. A little bit older crowd that play, people that played, people kind of lived through it when it was a thing. We kind of understand the sentiment behind not rubbing in a victory. But anyway, just a little surprising to hear that from your manager, who I think has probably been on both ends of games like that throughout his career. So I certainly understand it. That's something that smells a lot like a Tony La Russa reaction, maybe harsher words. But speaking of Tony, are his days numbered in Chicago?
Nope.
I don't think so either. I saw that come up, now's the time. They should probably get rid of him, but it's Tony La Russa. He's a Hall of Fame manager. they're not gonna dump him mid-season. May not bring him back, but
the only way that Tony La Russa is leaving the White Sox is when he decides to call it a career.
Yeah,
because Jerry Reinsdorf regrets firing him, listening to Hawk Harrelson, and firing him in the 80s, and he is making up for it now. Yeah. So Tony La Russa is safe as long as he wants to manage.
So it was just at the Sox game last Saturday.
I'm sorry?
And was just at the Sox game last Saturday.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Why?
So first inning, 1-2 count. One of the guys that we were with, it wasn't very packed, so you could hear stuff just as loud as he can. Hey, Tony, give him the 4. It's a 1-2 count, old man.
I love fans.
It was one of the guys that we were with. He's from Kansas. So
of course,
he's just big, this big burly guy. He had on the White Sox shirt the Hawaiian Jimmy Buffett White Sox shirt that they were giving out that day. Had taken off his undershirt, so he had his big old gut hanging out. Just like, I mean, the whole section was staring at us. It was awesome. And every 1-2 count after that.
I think I recorded just on my phone. I think it was a game last year. It might have been last year. Just a foul ball in Busch Stadium, and the crowd was standing out. Game was well in hand, and I think it was a Cub player going to catch a foul ball. Couldn't quite get to it, and you hear this fan beller out because there wasn't much crowd noise. Hey, Cardinal would have caught that. And you heard it on the TV cameras, which is just awesome. I love that. I remember a post-game show that Harry Carey was doing while he was announcing for the Cubs in St. Louis. You hear this drunk back in the crowd asking him or telling him, I know you're a Bud man, but how about being a Cardinal fan? Yeah. And that was like I had that on videotape, like back in the 80s. I used to videotape these games because they played a lot of day games against the Cubs. And I couldn't watch them until I got home from school. So I'd go back and watch them. I probably have that somewhere. I love fans. I love them when they get out. I mean, not the out of control shit you see in the bleachers out there in Chicago every once in a while. I love those videos, by the way. But you know what I'm talking about? Like that one fan who was just really loud. Not Ronnie Woo Woo.
No.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I hate that guy.
Since we're speaking about things that we hate about the Cubs experience, I mean, besides losing 10 games in a row, and I think part of what annoys me about it is that they've been so abysmal in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I am tired of, and thank God that they're not going to be on a lot of national broadcasts, but I can't tell you how tired I am of seeing the cup snake on every
holy shit. Was it last Sunday they had that on? Like
it was on both because they were on Fox and then they were on ESPN.
Yeah, they're on that doubleheader, right?
When the baseball's that shit, the only thing you have to do is drink.
Both of them featured the cup snake. It's like, it's not that interesting. Like, I understand that there's not a hell of a lot going on the baseball diamond, but you have a well-paid staff. Couldn't you do a better job of coming up with stories that you can tell about both teams to fill in time? Because what you actually might try to broadcast is not particularly compelling. Your best option is to show a bunch of drunk fans stacking up their cups and running them into the bleachers, and then turning the security guys who are only doing the job that they've been told to do, turning them into villains on national TV when they destroy the cup snake. They wouldn't want to do.
I love the Usher knocking down the big beer pyramid. Did you see that one?
Where he just,
he just came over and Godzilla'd it right in front of him.
As the guy was trying to put on one of the top
he
cups.
was sitting there focusing, man. That took some effort and time, and that Usher just came and just destroyed it right in front of him, and the guy just looked dejected.
Now, and this is where I do have to back up a little bit and admit a little bit of defeat. That guy, like when his supervisor told him, hey, listen, anybody starts doing anything with those cups, they do a cup snake or a pyramid or anything, you are authorized
to take it
whatever
down.
it takes to take it down. And that he got like a rush of adrenaline. He was like, oh yeah,
Like
here it comes.
Yeah, he got his radio out.
He did.
He had it at the ready.
He turned his radio off. He was like, I'm going in. And he turned his radio off, and he just.
I'm not. They're not going to be able to tell me to stop now. They've given me weapons free.
I have carte blanche.
Weapons
free.
I am weapons free. I'm shutting the radio off.
Too close for missiles. I'm going to guns.
He did. That was the.
Okay. I don't have much Cardinals commentary at this point. You know, look, whenever you have a 4-game set against the Pirates, you don't let your highs get too high. You don't let your lows get too low. You know, the Cardinals preceding the Pirates series, you know, were swept by the Tampa Bay Rays, and that's what I consider good competition. And so far, I guess the jury's out. Can they hold up against these good teams or not? Because we all know, I mean, it goes without saying, the National League Central is awful. And you know, I'm actually clamoring for a balanced schedule going forward. I think we're going to get one, right? I think that's been in the changes going forward.
Once they get it to 32 teams, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's going to be a more balanced schedule. So you won't be, you know, these teams won't be facing each other 18 times, which kind of sucks for the rivalry. But you know, you really in the I guess effort of, or in the sense of fairness, you know, a balanced schedule will provide a little bit different look for fans year in, year out. I think Pete's tapping his mic. He must have an issue there. Yep, don't hear you yet. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's like
we're gonna keep.
It's like you faded out, but
we'll keep going. So my observation of the Cardinals lately is, you know, there's a couple guys that have come back off injury. Flaherty came back off injury yesterday, but did not look good at all. Like he looked like he needed another tune-up or two. Down in the minor leagues on a rehab assignment before coming up. And Braden has called in too, and I think he probably has an opinion on how not only Jack looked, but just some of the performances we've seen versus expectation going into the year. I think in some areas they're falling short. In some areas we've gotten definitely some guys have provided air cover or a lift in the form of a rookie like Brendan Donovan. So I don't think many of us expected to arrive on the scene yet this year. I guess that's how it happens, though. If you end up with a winning record or what you would call a successful regular season campaign, when you have injuries or underperformers, there does seem to be a guy or two who comes up and steps up and fills that void, whether it's a late season acquisition, somebody who's been DFA'd and you picked them up and they got new life, or it's a rookie that you weren't really banking on. So that's what I've seen from them so far. Pitching is still the big concern, the big question. Do they have enough of it to compete with the good teams? And can the offense do anything against above mediocre pitcher? Two big questions we have for the Cardinals. That's both offense and defense related there. So that's a big question mark, I think, hanging over both aspects of their game. So I know Braden's on now, so if he wants to chime in, he can.
So honestly, for this season with the Cardinals, I was honestly scared and just figured for the next, 2-3 years that we were just going to be pretty mediocre. And for this season, I honestly, at best, would see a wild card, the NLDS loss. So for this season, the pitching is obviously a concern. Steven Matz, he was supposed to be your big off-season acquisition. He's hurt. In his starts, he hasn't looked great. In my opinion, Johan Oviedo should never pitch in a major league inning again. That he's just not good. I like Palante, as maybe a guy you can give a spot start every once in a while. Michaelis has seemed to get his groove back this year. Flaherty worries me a little bit with his injuries and his, getting maybe frustrated easily. Or if you ask me, I don't think he's on the team in a couple of years. He gets paid big somewhere else. The Cardinals don't want to give him his big money he wants with injuries and not being able to stay on the mound. The way he's been going,
Braden, I don't think he's going to get a lot of big money anywhere, a lot of big chances. So he's got to.
It wouldn't surprise me though at this point if the Dodgers give him 20-something million, even if he hasn't pitched much anyway. Because nowadays, what the hell is $20 million?
Well, you could be right, and a team like that can always absorb a risk. You know, they can afford to take one or roll the dice on a pitcher, and if it doesn't work out, they can just throw more money at it and fix it. There's only a handful of those left, guys. We see it all the time. But yeah,
you know what?
What
for the roster this year? Gorman, Levator seems like he's not maybe quite ready yet. There's still some things that need to be fine-tuned. Donovan, you mentioned. Yepes is, he's been solid at the plate. It didn't really.
Well, they have a couple more names down in the system that should have, I guess, a favorable outlook. As they look at making it up to big league level. You have Jordan Walker, you have Burleson, who's down there too. Couple players, couple at bats. I know there are more. Ivan Herrera, catcher. So there's a future as you're looking at position players where it looks pretty promising. I think where we start all to get a little bit nervous is just pitching depth. And a couple years ago, guys, you remember me saying this. It looked like they had a lot of it. And all of a sudden, it kind of crumbled last year. Oh, shit, that kind of that depth doesn't appear to be there like we thought it was going to be. And now we're still relying on 40-year-old Adam Wainwright to be the stopper, to to be the workhorse, and we all know how fragile that can be. So, yeah.
Well, you know what it sounds like, Ron? It really sounds like Mo failed to protect his starting lineup, right? Or his starting rotation. And we all know what a mistake it can be.
Absolutely.
To not be protected, because sometimes life throws you a curve.
It does.
And that's why you need Allstate.
That is. Allstate is a great answer. Sometimes life throws you a curve, a big old hook like Adam Wainwright's able to do. And that's why you need Allstate. The Wiley Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle, business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They offer a customized approach that is unique to your situation to make sure you, your family, and assets are properly protected. They offer great rates and savings. Give Sean and his team a call today at 636-764-6294. They'll help you with an insurance quote right over the phone. We all have busy lives. You can email Sean at seanwiley@allstate.com and talk to him about your coverage options. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Ron,
except for when you get that 12-6.
Completely tunes out during ad reads.
He does. He's on his phone. You can tell.
Immediately goes down to his phone. As soon as he doesn't even hear the ad read, he I give him credit, right?
Yeah.
He hears me trying to lead you into it, and immediately is just, I'm out.
Yep. Here's my chance. I'm going to go back to Galaxy of Heroes here and try to. Yep.
Hey man, had to check my Star Wars team.
I'm not gonna lie.
You're what?
I did the same thing.
You did the same thing.
He did.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Why does it blur that out? There you go. Can you see that?
What is your galactic power? What is your galactic power total at this point?
5.5.
What are you guys talking about?
5.5?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What do you?
Oh, it's disgusting, Pete. You don't want to hear about it. It's one of those app games. Those. Don't even look it up. It'll just suck your life away if you start playing.
It's called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
I played that for a little while.
Yeah, Elliot and I have been doing it for like 6 years.
I was playing it because I remember I got you some exclusive characters or points or something at Celebration 2019, Elliot.
What?
Crystals.
Crystals, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I got Elliot some crystals in 2019.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, I remember wanting to go to that celebration in Chicago.
Oldest friend here.
You were non-responsive.
That was a tough year for me.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah,
Elliot and I were texting. He's like, hey, do me a favor. Stop by the booth. Supposedly you can get there's some kind of incentive.
Yeah, like a code
yeah,
or
there was a QR code, I think is what it
Yeah.
was. So I took a picture of the QR code and I sent it to Elliot.
You bastard.
Yeah,
That's how you guys are 5.5.
Speaking of which,
crystals is the currency.
Speaking of which, we have to get together because I still have gifts that I got for you guys at that thing that I have not given to you yet. I'm tired of moving them around in my storage space downstairs. I've had them for 3 years.
B, what were you saying?
I wanted to go to that celebration when I came in Chicago, and I remember talking to you about it.
I could not. Nope, I could not go that year.
I wanted you guys to go to that
I know, but
celebration in 2019.
I did too.
Nope, the timing of that year, I could not do it. Could not.
Elliot could have.
You were a grumpy old man, and I was like, hey, listen.
Nope, I could not go to it.
I was like, I'm not happy with the sequels either, but come on, man.
No, I physically I could not make it to that whole event. I couldn't. Sorry, man. We'll go when it comes back to Indianapolis or something.
Indianapolis, that ain't gonna ever happen.
Well, hey, since we're speaking about meeting up and everything, I just want to put it out there officially to our couple dozen listeners. If any of you are going to be at the Cubs Cardinals series next weekend in St. Louis, let me know. Love to meet you in person. The boy and I are going down. We're taking the train on Friday night, and then we're going to catch the 2 matinees on Saturday and Sunday. So
I hope you guys enjoy that. Hope you guys enjoy what they've kind of. Pete, you haven't been to the Stadium 3 yet, but they have all the ballpark village and everything done across the street. So
also, Pete, I did see a TikTok about 20 minutes ago, and Busch Stadium, I guess there's somewhere in ballpark village, I think maybe by the big TV or something. You'll have to research it, but I guess there is like these frozen daiquiri cocktails at Busch Stadium that they offer now. So
yeah, you think I should get one of those for my boy?
Yeah, they might have an alcohol-free one, but I know you with your wine, you might want to check that out.
Of the three, Braden, of the three of us who are regulars on this show, your dad is the most likely to drink a frozen daiquiri cocktail.
That's probably true.
Probably the least likely to do so.
Yeah, I think Braden's off on that one. I do agree, Pete. If there was a daiquiri stand next to a bourbon stand,
plus it's brand new.
Ron would be posted up there all game long.
I'd have like 6 of those plastic flutes tucked under my arm on the way out.
So, Pete, you will be in St. Louis soon. I will be in Chicago tomorrow, going to a New Kids on the Block concert in Chicago.
Hey, I have been. I have been. It was when I was 14 years old. I went to one in Peoria.
Trying to impress a girl?
Yep.
That's an easy call.
But
didn't work.
We're getting early tomorrow because early Saturday morning there's this event where all 5 of them are going to be there, and I'm probably going to have to hold back my.
Are they going to the Wahlburgers?
So,
Donnie
St. Charles.
Unfortunately, I have to go to Chicago, but
isn't Donnie married to Jenny McCarthy, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They actually live in St. Charles, Donnie and her.
I think
yes, you're right. They do.
She's from there, though, right? Or is that Cindy Crawford?
She's from the South Side. She went to Mother Macaulay.
Okay. Chicago's produced some models there from the 80s, 90s, and Cindy Crawford.
Crawford grew up in the next town over.
She grew up in DeKalb, and my junior high wrestling coach dated her for a while in junior high.
Jesus. The only Playboy magazine I ever spent money on was the Cindy Crawford issue.
Okay.
She was my favorite in the 90s.
She looked good. She still looks good.
She still looks great. Yeah.
Doesn't look as good as Jennifer Connelly does, but she still looks good.
Okay, change subject. Son's on phone.
What? What is wrong with expressing an admiration of an attractive female?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Especially one in her 50s. Your son needs to learn that women are attractive beyond the age of 25.
And it's important to tell him, too, that if a woman is in her 50s and finds you attractive in your teens, that's a cougar, Braden. Stay away.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
About face, walk the other way. Lesson. I've taught you a couple lessons tonight. That's one of them. You remember the other one. We won't talk about it here on air.
Now I have to know.
Maybe after we're done. Maybe after this red button turns green. All right, guys. We got a little bit better talk, a little livelier topic to talk about. I have to say, You strict baseball fans who don't want to hear anything about anything else, of course, you've heard all kinds of shit tonight that have nothing to do with baseball. Time to go bye-bye. We know you don't like this. We know this stuff is icky because it's not realistic. Well, you know what's not realistic either? Half the shit you guys post on social media. That's not realistic either, but you do it anyway.
You know what is realistic, Ron?
I know what's realistic, and I know what's extremely unpleasant, and I'd rather wear a pair of sandpaper underwear. That is buying a car. Sucks. None of us want to do it. I don't want to do it. It can be stressful. Doesn't have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you find the vehicle you need no matter what brand. Fifth Street Motors believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Dawn a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Team Rivals Podcast sent you. I deviated from the script.
That's okay. I was wondering how you were going to get there, but you got there. You did get there.
I did.
Nice work.
So, Ron, you gave them the warning.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, it's time to talk.
You got to do that again. Make it a little louder.
Oh, you want it louder?
I felt like somebody was in the toilet. Yeah.
Okay. No, we can definitely do that.
Okay. I caught most of it.
All right.
I don't know who wants to lead into this one. That doesn't matter. I know that there was a little bit of disappointment out of episode 4, part 4, they call it.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. I have to say, though, I don't know how you guys feel about it because we have not talked about this episode yet. Haven't even talked about it with Braden, really. Part 5 was great. I thought it was great. Great episode. Maybe the best one.
I wouldn't call it great. I'd say it was better.
Oh, okay. Well, I think out of all of them I've seen so far, this has been my favorite. It's the only... Let me backtrack. I went back and watched parts 1 and 2 again because I thought they were really good. But I went back... Well, because they were new. Yeah, it's new. I'm seeing Ewan again in the role, so I wanted to see it again. I didn't go back and watch 3. Didn't go back and watch part 4. But I did go back and watch part 5 again. I had to watch that again to absorb what was going on there. You know, with all the flashback scenes and everything and the whole... finally they're developing this character in Reva at least a bit, right? So I enjoyed this one. This one's good, and so now I'm anticipating how this is going to wrap up. Last week I didn't quite feel the same way, but
you know what I was really wishing that they would do in the flashback? I really wanted to see in the Clone War gear.
I agree with you 100% because this was pre-Geonosian battle, right? Anakin, I think, still had his hand for one.
Yeah.
And they set him up as a Padawan. I get why they did that because of the story and everything else. But yeah, I agree with you, Elliot. It's a little disappointing we haven't seen a live action.
I wanted the Jedi armor. Right. I wanted them in their armor from Clone Wars.
That would have been cool.
I thought that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been. We've all wanted to see that, right? We've only seen it in animation. We want to see kind of that post Attack of the Clones, pre-Revenge of the Sith, within the thick of the Clone Wars, what that relationship was like. We are missing that. I don't know, but maybe you hold out a little bit of hope that we see that in the last part. But I agree with you. That would have been great to see in live action, I think.
Yep.
Pete. I agree, but I mean, it would have been cool, but I'm still not going to complain. I mean, it's still cool. And it fits the story better, like you said, because, you know, at this point in the story, Vader is still the Padawan, the learner.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're speaking about this, I just wanted to share something I thought was probably the stupidest thing I've ever read from a Star Wars fan in my life yesterday. You know, there was some TikTok of Star Wars and searching through the comments, and somebody put, "Oh, there's just some things that don't make sense in the original trilogy because, you know, they hadn't made the prequels yet." And in my opinion, the originals just need to be redone. I know, and I thought that was the stupidest thing I've ever read in my life. Could you do you really want the originals done with how Disney Star Wars did sequels? That was like the dumbest thing I've ever read from someone.
Don't ever touch them.
I think that is a landmine. Not even Kathleen Kennedy is willing to step on.
That was pretty much like
I wouldn't put it past her.
7 Facebook Star Wars comment. Like, it was the worst thing I ever read.
Well, I tend to agree. That's one that.
Good luck finding somebody to do it.
Well, Oh, Pete's gonna probably tell us he wouldn't put it past her, but I do think that's a tripwire she's aware of. I don't know, Pete. What do you think?
I'll get back to the topic at hand, the original topic. I will give you that this was the best episode of this series, but that, I mean, for me, that's damning with faint praise. The writing on this thing has been unbelievably lazy, and this episode was no different.
Yeah, and I find it
so. I mean, it was nice to see Hayden Christensen playing Anakin again. It would have been nicer to see Hayden Christensen looking like a 20-year-old again and not looking like he was 40. Look, we know that they have the ability to de-age people. He did not look. I mean, they didn't even make an attempt.
Well, there were a couple things. I don't know what kind of attempt they made, but I kind of know where you're coming from. There's a couple spots there on the neckline and the eyes. They probably could have,
get rid of the crow's feet.
Yeah. But I mean, beyond that, and look, there was. I'm not even going to get into the technical issues like the mat of Coruscant was terrible. Like that mat, and I guarantee they shot that in the volume. So, and that's why I don't understand why that mat of the Coruscant skyline was so bad.
Well, why was it so vacant of ships?
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe, yeah. Because the ships distract you from the fact that it's completely stationary and no skyline looks like that. But I mean, look, I don't want to get into it, but there were so many just shortcuts and just outright skipping of any kind of logical writing conventions that you would have done that it's just like, but I shouldn't be surprised by it because this whole series has been characterized by that. The writing on this is just lazy. It's not even to say it's bad. It's just, it's lazy. The Grand Inquisitor's dead. No, he's not. Why is he not? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're going to have to, that's going to be an interesting one. I don't know that they're running out of time, right? Like we're heading into the very last
completely
part.
Out of time.
So
no, they're not going to explain how he survived. And she's not dead either because she just took a gut shot. So, and we know that they're going to spin off it
feels like it's the second one she's taken because on when he did that to her, it showed a kind of a flashback type style of scene where he had done that before. So, has he really done this to her again? Is she going to survive it a second time? But then she picks up the communicator that old boy dropped there and heard part of the message. It was broken up, but she got enough of it, right? She heard kid, Tatooine, Owen. So what's her motivation for going back there? And she's not working for the Empire anymore. But here's a couple things I do want to give this series at least some credit for. Whatever they've done to Vader's voice hasn't been lazy, because
that's been remarkable.
Spot on with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I think they've done.
I would actually love to see them go back, and that's one thing I would like to see them do. Go back and do that to Rogue One.
And then the few scenes in Rebels too.
Yep.
Yeah. Whatever they did to that voice, it is James Earl Jones reading those lines. But whatever they did was, same thing they did for Luke in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. So that was fantastic. How they've depicted Vader, I think, has been pretty good. Now,
that first time when he came down that public way and just like snapped the kid's neck, and I mean that was the ruthless Vader that you kind of got a scene in at the end of Rogue One. That was the Vader who didn't care, was just had that anger fueled.
Well, I think that Elliot and the fact that they've at least paid attention to the fact that when she attacked him at the end of this episode, because that's a theory, guys. And I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I remember talking to my wife about this. Like, I wonder if, because it is confirmed this week, we all suspected that she was one of the Padawans in the temple when it was attacked in Order 66, right?
Yep.
Part of my thing is she after him? And I suspected this could be a twist in the plot. It ended up being that she's not necessarily doing this for the good of the Empire. She's doing this because she is hunting him, because she knew who he was. Now, that's a whole loophole right there, Pete, that we don't know. Like, how does she know?
And Ron, this is not to insult you, but the fact that you were able to nail that twist so early in the
It doesn't make me Nostradamus.
No, it shows just. I mean, again, it goes back to this has just been probably one of the worst.
It shouldn't have been that
Star
easy
Wars.
to figure out.
Right. The writing on this is terrible. It's lazy and it's amateur. It's something that I think the three of us could easily outdo drunk, and we could write a better Obi-Wan Kenobi series than they've done here. I would definitely do it drunk. This has been so paint by numbers. Like there's been nothing surprising. There's been nothing shocking. There have been no developments where it's like, oh, that's an interesting take. And I'm not talking about a Rian Johnson subvert your expectations and ruin a hero twist. I'm talking about a legitimate.
Like this could have been so much better, and you didn't do it for whatever reason. And I don't know what restricted them from doing it. And but to continue to give credit, a couple scenes that I think that we've never really seen in Star Wars. If you were paying attention, if you go back and watch it, you'll see it. Just the whole hyperspace scene with Vader on the bridge of the Star Destroyer. It panned around to like almost a 360, and they were using the volume, obviously. That's, to me, I don't know why. I just like, I rewound that shot several times. I'm like, that's a really cool view we've never seen. We've seen, the going to light speed from one angle, but not panning around and seeing the reflection off the helmet and everything else. And that's the power, I think, of that technology that they're using. They used really well in that part, and that really sold it. Like there's very few people, if they didn't know any better, wouldn't have thought that was real. So I'll give them I'll give them credit for how they've treated a lot of the Vader scenes, a lot of them, not every single one of them, but I think they've done a really good job there.
And you know what, Ron, that was one of the things that I did actually like about this episode was it from that same scene. What is Vader? Because he's always there, right? Anytime we see him on a Star Destroyer, he's always up there looking out the windows. Like you're looking at hyperspace, you're not looking at anything. And that was the one moment where I was like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. What's going through Vader's head when he's staring off into cyberspace? And yeah, it would absolutely make sense that he's probably flashing back to those moments that cause him pain.
Yeah, which I think that was part of the scene preceding those those shots that we saw. But yeah, so I mean, out of all of them, I think this has been the one I've enjoyed the most. Pete, I agree with your sentiment though. Like there's been very little of this that's been predictable. I think one of the disappointing things is not that it was a crisis with Leia that pulled him from his primary responsibility of watching over Luke. It's the fact that she's been there since like part 1. It's gone on this long. And it's like, I almost feel like this is dangerously close to overexposure. I hope when they wrap this up in part 6 that she's back on Alderaan with her family and that part of it's over. Not to take anything away from that young actress or anything. I think she's actually she actually played the part pretty well, but I'm ready for that part to wrap up. Like we need to move on from that and get on to more of Obi-Wan himself and not so much that's going on around him.
And not that I have a problem with Baby Yoda, but my fear is that they're viewing her as their next Baby Yoda.
Oh, God, I hope not.
And they're going to drag her through a season 2 of Kenobi, and she's going to make special appearances in Reva, the third sister series, and all of that because she's cute and she's going to draw eyeballs.
Boy. Yeah, you open up a couple avenues there that I hope they don't take. I hope there's not. Like,
I hope so too, but I have, based on the last 3 years of experience, I have no confidence that is not their plan.
I don't think they'll do that because I still feel like they really prioritize, canon, and I couldn't see them just having land through like everything. Like, they didn't kill off the Grand Inquisitor, and a lot of people were scared that they were going to break canon like that. And his species, wherever the hell he is, has two stomachs. And I don't know if you guys caught on to this, but I thought this detail was really, really cool. It honestly kind of caught me off guard, but to me, it looked like a Vader and the Grand Inquisitor knew the whole time that what Reva was what her plan was, and that she was hunting Vader.
Well,
because
I think that whole
I think
this episode
dope.
is part of the reshoots.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing with her, if Vader saw that coming all along, I mean, obviously he's the one that put the blade through her on during Order 66 at the temple. Maybe he did see this coming the whole time, or felt it at the very end and was able to react to it. The fight scene between those two, I thought, was actually pretty good. He was toying with her like a cat would play with its meal before, finally devouring it. And so I think the way they treated that was appropriate and showed how powerful he is, right? No matter how pissed off you are, you got a little bit of force ability. You're not touching the ability he has and what's left of him even. So
but again, why does he not kill her?
Yeah, I agree.
Everybody else.
It's one of those classic villain scenes, Pete, where they leave him in the tank with the sharks and they walk out of the room and they end up escaping.
That's not Vader.
I'm going to tell you my plan and let this.
Exactly. That's out of character. That's not Vader.
It reminds me of the scene of Austin Powers.
Vader doesn't allow Ozzel to walk off with a bruised trachea. Snaps his neck.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Vader just doesn't show mercy.
Well, and there's a couple parts in this series, Pete, where he's done that, right? Like he could have easily jumped over that fire and got to Obi-Wan before whoever the droid or the robot, whatever, picked him up and rescued him. You got to think that the only way they can close the loop on that story to make it make sense is he senses somehow like this isn't the right time or this isn't it. Like you found him, you got him.
I understand that. I do agree that Reva should have been killed. I think the only reason she was kept alive is Disney
because they're going to spin off a series starring her.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't
think she'll get a spin-off. I really don't, because
I will bet you now she gets a spin-off.
No, I think I actually take that bet because I don't think she will either.
I don't think so either.
The thing is that
I can't wait to say I told you
Rebels
so.
or anything like that.
You could be right, but I think that
I think she will die next episode in sort of a redemption. I turn to the light side.
Yeah, Braden. I don't know if that's exactly what's going to happen, but I would probably agree with that more. I just don't. I think regardless of who the actress is, that's all beside the point, right? So kind of like what the Finn character was, like had nothing to do with the actor. It's how they wrote it. They wrote what ended up being a very uninteresting character when they could have actually done something with that, and they didn't. And I kind of feel maybe the same thing with her. I just don't think this character by itself, even with the backstory, is going to be worthy of a spinoff series. And you think about the time that this exists in, Pete. I just, where was this? If she survived, if she went on, where was she in A New Hope? Where was she in Empire Strikes Back? How does that all fit in? And even what's time's left, about 9-10 years between what we're seeing right now and A New Hope, what is there to tell with her that's going to be anywhere interesting? Yeah. And it's all about the character. It has nothing to do with the actress. It has to do with that character and that story. I just don't see it as being interesting enough to have a spin-off series. Now, I know where you're going. Well, this is the thing nowadays. And they're going to make it like none of us need a Cassian Andor series.
Well, we got one.
Totally not. I know. And that's where you could be right. You could be right if you're hanging your hat on that. None of us needed a Solo prequel. We got it. So they don't, I don't think they're in tune with what would be interesting to most fans. Like, what would that thing be that would be interesting to us that we want to see? I don't think that Kathleen or Disney's
Obi-Wan
asking
Kenobi
that question.
series that centers around Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's what would be interesting to me.
Fair point. It really is a fair point. Like I said, the Leia thing, I think, went on probably 2 episodes longer than it needed to. And it's become another major character here. And yeah, instead of Obi-Wan, there's a story about this new Inquisitor called Reva. She's got a backstory. She was a Jedi Padawan. That is interesting in itself. Try to cram all that into a 6-part series, it starts getting pretty, watered down if what you really wanted was Obi-Wan and his torment, his hiding, losing himself a little bit, and then somehow something was a catalyst for him to remember who he was and really think of himself as a Jedi Knight again. That's kind of the journey I think we're all hoping to see. Like, how did he get to the point we saw him in Rebels? and if you weren't a Rebels fan, you didn't watch it. How did he become so competent by the time he was old Ben that we saw it in the desert?
Hey, if they could do a whole movie about a guy lost on an island with very little talking, I think they could have done a compelling story.
Well, he's missing his Wilson.
But the thing is with Reva is they already revealed
he had his training droid.
Braden, what are you saying? Get it out real quick. So,
with Reva, they already revealed her backstory.
Yep.
They already revealed her motivation for everything. So her entire character arc is already being exposed in Kenobi. They would have no further story to explore.
Yeah, I know. That's what I just described. There's not a whole hell of a lot left to make a series out of it.
It's going to be so sweet. I'm chilling a bottle of champagne right now. And you're coming back on when I open it, Braden.
Yeah, he will.
Right. Real quick though, I want to talk about that point.
No, hang on. No, we're not going there yet. Okay. So anyway, couple things there. So I don't know how this is going to all wrap up. My big question, all you guys, is: are we going to see? Is Qui-Gon going to make an appearance, even in audio at this point? Like Obi-Wan was calling out to him earlier in this series. Like, are we going to hear Liam return as even the voice of Qui-Gon? I mean, you'd have to think that name has been brought up by Obi-Wan in the first couple, right? Like you would think that
first two, the first two.
Won't they do that?
He hasn't said his name, but he's referred to Master.
Yeah. So we know who he's talking to. So you'd have to think.
I think he said Master Qui-Gon.
Did he?
I think in the first episode he did, and then the second episode, wouldn't that be a miss? Wouldn't that be a miss though if they didn't do that? I mean, think about The Force Awakens. You think about The Last Jedi. They didn't have the big three in the same film frame ever. Probably a huge miss. They didn't do it. I can to go along with my co-host sentiment tonight, like the obvious things they just aren't doing because they think they're smarter than everybody else in the room. I think this would be a huge mess if they didn't have that in some way, shape, or form.
I wouldn't. Once again, couldn't put it past them.
All right, fair enough. That's one of the things I'm hoping to see, at least as they end this thing. Question is, Pete, you already mentioned the season 2. Given the numbers on Obi-Wan, the series right now, are they really going to do that? Or are they going to stick to the guns?
I thought they only said it's just going to be the
they've been advertising it as a limited series. I have to think it's over.
Rumor is that series 2 or season 2 is in development, and the Reva spin-off series is in development. So
I don't believe the Reva thing.
Okay.
Nope.
I don't believe it either. But so here's the thing about Kenobi before they announced the show that was my biggest worry is, okay, we know that Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan is, exiled on Tatooine watching little Luke. Okay. So you're wanting to do a story in between this time. So Disney is going to have to force an interesting, action-packed, Vader-esque storyline. And what doesn't fit with that is Obi-Wan wanting to be left alone. Nobody knows where the hell he is watching Luke. And so, obviously, there's a plot hole with Leia knowing who Obi-Wan is, trusting him a lot in A New Hope. You had to explore that storyline. That's where kind of the Leia part comes in. I do agree that it's maybe dragged on a little too long. The thing that worries me is, what did you expect for the writing? I mean, I'm not surprised the way the story is going, because what else are you supposed to do? I love that we're getting an Obi-Wan show, Obi-Wan Vader. I love Ewan and Hayden, they're having this story, but,
Well, I think we've already got some of what you described, right? We saw him broken.
There wasn't much you could do anyway, because, in the comics, Obi-Wan got his lightsaber out every once in a while, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
well, there was one comic issue that happened during the Star Wars release that addressed.
There's only so much you can tell, and I wish they would execute it a little bit better and make it more about.
Well, they've only got one more part to do it, so we'll see how they.
Obi-Wan and Vader.
So we'll see how they wrap it up in the last part. But we're past time here, guys. We do have to wrap it up. I hope Pete feels better next week. I have hope for next week that they make this seem somewhat okay. They make it all make sense, and we can roll into next time we see Obi-Wan. It makes sense to us why he takes the form of old Ben that we saw in episode 4. So jury's out. They got one shot left. So
it better be a long episode to cover all the ground.
I hope it's not some 35-minute episode, man. There's nothing more will piss me off when they try to squeeze this in within just a few minutes. And I don't know why each of these episodes in a limited series weren't an hour anyway. But
hour 15.
Yeah. They should be longer, and it's irritating. Especially when they don't release them all like a Netflix type of series where they just dump them all at the same time. Because we'd all be up till 3 a.m. watching the whole damn thing probably. But okay, so appointment viewing, that seems to be their formula. So I can go with it, but limited series like this, I really would like to see the episodes longer. But anyway, Pete, get us out of here because we got to go.
Yes, indeed. We do have to go. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to comment and subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to do the same. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts, as well as Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports Network podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show and Talking Sports in the Bleachers with Don Glenn. You can find Elliot on Twitter at
TOR_Elliot.
You can find Braden online at
in September. If you like hearing me talk and you just want to have just me talk the whole time, in September when football season starts back up, NFL MVP podcast will be starting back up. If you need football knowledge and some baseball knowledge,
what if they want to find you right now, Braden?
You can't, so suck it.
Okay.
All right. You can find me
find Ron at
TOR_Ron75.
Get in touch with us at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com or on any social media channel at Team of Rivals Pod.
All right, Pete, thanks for that. And I'll tell you what, it's always a crapshoot. We get to Thursday, but until we know more, we'll talk to you same time, same place next week. We love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.